All right, guys, there has been a lot of talk about this Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg cage fight, and Dana White has been fueling the whole thing. And personally, I think the whole thing is a bit ridiculous, but I do have some thoughts on it, and it is something fun to talk about. Okay, first, I'm gonna give my situation on how we got here, what I think of it, and then also, how do I think the fight would go if it did happen? What kind of an ass whooping would one of these tech billionaires get if we actually ended up in the cage somehow? Firstly, let's be very, very clear. I believe, very sincerely, there is a 0% chance of this fight actually happening. The idea of seeing Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk in a cage together is ridiculous. It's bloody ridiculous. And then to think that that would be some sort of pay-per-view event. I mean, guys, can you imagine what the insurance costs alone would be on these two tech billionaire global giants going at it in a cage? I just don't see how the logistics of the financials could work to have some sort of commission tick off on this. It's just crazy. It's crazy. It's a fun thing to think about, but there is no way that it's going to happen. I would bet my house that there is 0% chance of this fight ever actually happening. I do like that we're talking about it though. I do like that we're talking about it because honestly, there is something a little bit sick about the idea that there is this tech billionaire out there that could shut down parts of the American Constitution and then rent out the UFC Apex, put on a media blackout and watch human cage fighting by himself. That sounds like something out of a dystopian nightmare, but that actually happened. That man actually did that and was supported by the media blackout and by the UFC. So that's sort of crazy that that happened. And now the idea that we're turning it on his head and getting these two tech giant emperors in the cage together and us, the plebs, can watch them beat each other up has a really nice vibe and feeling to it. So I like that we're talking about it. I like that part of the fight very much. Then, of course, there's Dana White's involvement on the whole thing. Mr. We just don't do gimmick fights here. And all of a sudden, he's willing to throw money at Tyson Fury. He's willing to call up Zuckerberg and Musk and see if he can actually make this fight happen. It's the only thing that he wants to talk about, apparently, in the last 2 weeks is gimmick fights and slap. I thought we're getting into International Fight Week pretty soon, and these are the things that we're talking about heading into International Fight Week, Dana? Gimmicks? It's not a good look. It's not a very good look for Mr. Integrity. I don't know how he's gonna waltz his way through the next few press conferences if this is the sort of thing that he's bubbling up in the MMA community. So if it was gonna happen, if we are gonna do this, I don't think that we should do it in the UFC. It's fine that it's gonna be MMA. It's fine that it's gonna be in an octagon, in a cage, but I think we should sort of build a charity pay-per-view event with the whole UFC infrastructure and have it presented by the UFC or have it presented by Endeavor Entertainment. Put them in there in Venom shorts, in the UFC style gloves, not the Bellator style gloves, and just have the whole thing built as a UFC event. Have Bruce Buffer there, have John Anik, have Joe Rogan there, but I've actually got an idea for Rogan for this pay-per-view event that we're going to put on, and have it as a special charity event presented by the UFC. You could call it Musk Zuckerberg presented by Endeavor Entertainment charity pay-per-view or something along those lines is how you could build this card up. And then of course you can't just have one fight on a pay-per-view. You need to have a couple of fights on a pay-per-view. So I suggest we put 5 fights on this pay-per-view and we have the whole thing as a charity event full of charity fights and bring all the fighters out in the Venom clothing and go for it. And here's how I would break it down. I think you should start off the pay-per-view with a couple of low-level YouTubers. Maybe have, say, the MMA Guru versus Jesse on Fire, get them into the octagon and have them as the opening of the card. And then move up in the prestige of MMA YouTubers and maybe have Chael Sonnen, renowned wrestler, aging, retired, versus Joe Rogan, big mouth Taekwondo Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, but we've never actually seen him go at it. So the second fight on the card would be Chael Sonnen versus Joe Rogan. Then we'd move to the next fight of the card and really get the celebrity names building. Chris Evans versus Chris Hemsworth, and find out who is the best Chris in the world through the only thing that matters, the beautiful art of MMA. And then now that we've actually got some celebrity names in there, let's bring in some celebrity names that really enjoy MMA and sort of wish that they were cage fighters because they've made movies about cage fighting. I'm talking about, let's get Jake Gyllenhaal in there versus, and wait for this, Halle Berry. Let's have a mixed martial arts, mixed MMA, mixed martial arts, mixed event for charity, and have Jake Gyllenhaal versus Halle Berry as the co-main event to see which one is the MMA super fan of super celebrities. And then of course we get to the main event of Zuckerberg versus Musk. And how would that fight go? Mark Zuckerberg would rip off Elon Musk's arm, break his ankle, snap his neck, whatever he wanted to do. Look, Zuckerberg has been training jiu-jitsu and been a fan of MMA for a few years now. He's been very interested in it and he's been doing jiu-jitsu competitions. Elon Musk, as far as I'm aware, he just loves memeing and trolling the world. He's made it almost his job just to meme on and troll the world. So I think Zuckerberg would quickly take care of Musk in under 2 minutes. But as I was thinking about this, I thought I'd just jump on Google and I would just punch in their height and weights. And I found something like particularly interesting about the way the two men are shaped. Obviously, Elon Musk is shaped like a bag of potatoes and Mark Zuckerberg has a fairly athletic build because he has been training for competitions. But Elon Musk is 6'1", 200 pounds. And Zuckerberg's 5'7", 155 pounds. That means if this fight ever did get a date put on it, Elon Musk could hire like the world's best Dagestani wrestlers and just train him on wrestling for 6 months straight. Just drill him on wrestling. I don't know how he would have the time to do it. He's busy sending all of his companies bankrupt. But if he had the time to do it, you could just learn wrestling for 6 months. You would simply then become a weight bully over someone that size. All you would have to do is survive the ground game, keep your elbows in, keep your legs in, keep your chin down, and just work on all that wrestling that you've been going. And now we're having a real conversation about what makes MMA great. If you knew this thing, and if you knew that thing, and if you actually trained for your opponent, could you beat them? And that is what this whole sport is built on. That's why we rock up every single weekend to watch this and to talk about it. So if this fight was going to happen, and if Elon Musk could actually properly prepare for a skinny, nerdy kid that knows jiu-jitsu, like all jiu-jitsu practitioners, then on paper, the wrestler would win because wrestling is clearly better than jiu-jitsu. Just ask Oliveira how Makhachev feels about that. And now we got ourselves a fight. It would never happen. It's a ridiculous thing to think about, but it is fun. I can see why it's captured the attention and the media interest of the MMA world over the last 2 days. Even though we have an amazing card coming up this weekend and we're starting to roll into International Fight Week, somehow this is what we're all talking about. Guys, let me know down in the comments, what are your thoughts for the perfect MMA charity pay-per-view? How do you think the fight between Musk and Zuckerberg would go? It's an interesting proposition. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.